far back you heard of Freya and Odin and the gods of Asgard. But there was a time when the gods of Asgard were not one group. They were the Aesir and the Vanir, two different sets of gods. The Aesir were for war and then physical things. They were strong. And the Vanir, they dealt in the realm of magic and mysticism. Now, for years and years, these gods fought against each other, one overtaking the other, but they were too equally matched. And at last they had to make peace. They had to sue for peace. That's a whole other story. But during the wars, they sued for peace. They all spit in a big cauldron, and a guy came, Kvasir, who is my name comes out. But during the wars, there was a great wall around Asgard. And as the Vanir attacked the walls of Asgard with magic, and the Asgardians the Vanir, Aesir were fighting back, the entire wall around Asgard was destroyed. So after the gods had all made peace, believe it or not, Freya was the Vanir and Odin was Aesir, and it was part of their compact to get together. They married. But they were very worried now that the wall had been destroyed. Perhaps giants could come and attack Asgard. It was not a good thing to have the wall destroyed like that. Now, Thor was strong enough to build the new wall, but Thor was already, he's in charge of keeping Midgard safe, he's in charge of keeping Asgard safe, he's very busy, he couldn't take time to build an entire wall. Well now, one day as Heimdall was standing at Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, Heimdall the White, he saw, a stout, stocky man crossing the Rainbow Bridge, the Trembling Bridge, as they call it. And with him he had a very large workhorse, a big draft horse, huge. And he walked up to Heimdall, who's not used to seeing mortals walking up and down Bifrost. "What brings you here?" And the man said, "I am Blast, and I have an offer for the gods. I know that they are in trouble, and I can help." "Well, tell me what you want to do, and I will bring it to the gods." "Ah," Blast said, "I will speak to a council of the gods and no other." So Heimdall told the gods of this request of a mortal with his horse, seeking an audience with the gods. Odin was in a good mood that day, and he said, sure, we'll bring him in, we'll bring the gods in for a council of the gods. So they gathered in the great hall of Gladsheim, which is Odin's great meeting hall. And the man and his horse entered into the great hall, and Odin espied him down and said, "So, what brings you into the audience of the gods?" And Blast said, "I have heard that Asgard is without a wall and that enemies could attack at any time. You need a new wall, and I am a mason. I am a mason in need of work, and I propose that I shall rebuild the entire wall around Asgard to defend it against its enemies." The gods murmured amongst each other, how is that possible? That's murmur. Yeah, and the man said, "I can do this in 1 year." He thought, what, 1 year? That is impossible. No one can build an entire wall around Asgard and all its halls in 1 year. And Blast said, "I will do it in 1 year for the price of, I wish the sun and the moon to be mine." Yeah. Oh, and the gods murmured again, "Well, what will we do? If we had no sun, we shall all be cold and bumping about in the dark." But Blast doubled down and he said, "Not only do I want the sun and the moon, I want the hand of Freya in marriage." Yes, that again. Everybody wants Freya. She is so popular, her dance card is full. Everybody wants Freya. Well, the god said, "This is ridiculous." And Freya said, "I wouldn't marry a mortal man. This is crazy." But Loki, he sidled up alongside Odin and whispered in his ear, "This is impossible. He can't do this. I have an idea. We should convene on our own to discuss." So they asked Blast to leave the hall, and they all discussed. Loki said, "Hey, this is impossible. He can never build the wall in 1 year. Why, we can take the deal and make sure the sun and the moon and Freya is safe." The rest of the gods said, no, this is too dangerous without Freya. Freya, the queens of the gods, we love her so dearly. And of course, the sun and the moon, we can never do it. Oh, and Loki, always thinking. He said, hey, how about we make the deal for 6 months? I'm sure that no one could rebuild the entire wall around Asgard in 6 months. And then we will have at least part of a wall for nothing, and part of a wall is better than none. And all the gods murmured again, well, that does seem like a plan. I can see the logic in that. That makes perfect sense. So they called Blast back in and said, yes, we will allow you to build the wall, but we've decided a year is too long. 6 months. If you can do this wall from the first day of winter to the first day of spring, then you may have the sun, you may have the moon, and you may have the hand of Freya. That's impossible, Blast yelled, and the gods were like, that's what we were hoping. That's impossible. May I at least have the use of my horse? I don't know. And the horse and Loki again, always clever, think, well, I don't know, it's just a horse. How could a horse make any difference? It's 6 months to build a wall. Never gonna happen. So the gods went, yeah, okay, I can see the logic in that. Loki's making sense, sure. And then, so then Odin, he made the deal. He swore in front of the entire audience and all the other gods gathered there that he would give Blast, the sun and the moon, and Freya's hand should he finish the wall in 6 months' time and allow him the use of his horse. Well, Blast got up before sunlight the next morning. He was up in the wee small hours of the morning, the moon still shining in the sky. He led his horse down from the broken teeth of the old wall, down the hill where there was still large boulders just sticking out of the ground that had been there for centuries and eons. Well, he laid down a large net on the ground and tied it to the horse. And then this man would grab the boulders one at a time and place them on the net. All day long he would spend pulling boulders out of the ground and placing them on the net. And the sun rose and the sun fell. And as the sun was falling, he cinched up that net and he got his horse to pull that huge load of rocks all the way up the hill. So that the next morning, Blast had a whole pile of fresh rocks. Oh, he chipped and he chiseled and he carved and he laid the stones together. Seems so smooth you've never seen. He's a master craftsman. And this went on day after day. He would take his horse down to the lot, to where the boulders were at. He would load up the boulders and the horse would drag them up the hill. And the next morning he would lay the stones. Well, progress was coming along faster than any of the gods had supposed. They would come down to the edge of the wall and would gather and watch as he would lay the stones and pull them up the hill, and they was, well, this is looking pretty good, but he's moving a lot faster than we expected. Well, this went on all the way through winter, and it was coming close to spring. And the gods again gathered as they had become accustomed to doing, to see the progress of the wall, and they could see that it was very close to done. And when it came to the last day that he had to build that wall, they came and saw that there was nothing but the gate and a capstone to place, and he would be finished with the wall. And if he finished with the wall by the next morning, Freya would be his, the sun and the moon would be gone, and the world would be plunged into darkness, both in the heart and both in their eyes. So Odin called Loki because Loki was the clever one. Loki was the one who kept saying, this is a good plan. This is a great plan. So he called Loki and said, Loki, this is your fault. I don't know what's happened. I don't know. We all agreed, but no. You convinced us that this was a good deal. You told us that there would be no problem. We would keep the sun and the moon and Freya and have at least part of a wall. Now the wall's almost finished. Well, I didn't have anything to do with that. I mean, I was just a voice of reason. I just was sharing my opinion. Well, this problem was caused by you, and it shall be fixed by you. And if you do not fix it, it will be your life, and we will take it from you bit by bit.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well, Loki was very scared, as you could imagine. But he thought, always clever, always slippery-minded, sly devil that Loki. He said, I have an idea. I shall take care of this for you. No problem, no problem. So the next day, Blast went down and loaded up the net with rocks and tied it on to Svadilfari, his horse, and he began climbing up the hill. Just then, the horse noticed Svadilfari, this great steed, could smell something. And then out of the corner of his eye, he saw in amongst the trees the most beautiful mare he had ever seen in his life. Her withers were silky, her haunches were strong, and her eyes, I don't know because I'm not attracted to horses, but I imagine the eyes were really, really exciting. This rose the hackles on Svadilfari, the great steed. And he saw this beautiful mare, this beautiful gray mare, shoot off into the woods. Oh, Svadilfari was not letting that get away. Oh, he jumped and he struggled and he snapped his reins, and he took off, shooting into the woods after that beautiful gray mare. Blast was so upset. How can I finish it? He ran off into the forest, chasing after his horse. Svadilfari, come back! Svadilfari, where are you? And he spent all night running through the woods. He was tripping on rocks and twigs, and he was not having a very good time at all. And he could not find his horse. Well, perhaps there are enough stones. Perhaps there's enough stones left up by the wall I could finish. I'm not sure. He went back up to the Great Wall to see if there were enough stones to finish. He was going to give it a try. So he started piling the stones, and he ran out. And the gods were there, and they laughed. Aha! We knew you couldn't finish this. 6 months to build a wall, we knew. We knew it could not be done. Blast looked at the gods sternly in the eye, and I smell treachery. I smell treachery. What have you gods done? I would have finished this job. You must have done something. You must have done something to warn. I am so upset because you made a deal. And he became so angry, this man. He became so angry that his disguise fell away. And he was revealed to be, yes, that's right, a giant.
No!
And the gods were thinking, this is how he was able to build the walls up. He's not a mortal man, he's a giant. And this giant was very mad. He did not like being tricked out of his reward. And he was ready to throttle the gods with his bare hands. You gods are no better than scum. How you lie and you cheat, and I will tear you limb from limb. But Freya was there, and she saw this coming down, and she thought, there's one thing we can do. Thor, Asgard is in trouble. Thor, return to us. And in a clap of lightning and thunder, Thor, boom, was there, right there, at the gate. He could see the gods. He saw the gallery of gods as they watched on, and he saw the giant approaching with his hands ready to throttle their necks. And so Thor took Mjolnir, and he swung it very hard and smashed it right into the head of that giant, shattering his skull into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, that's what he does.
So they had almost an entire wall. Still had the sun, they still had the moon, and Freya's honor was saved. Now it was months. Was it months, weeks, months? It was quite a while before anybody in Asgard saw Loki again. He had vanished, and they assumed that perhaps he was afraid that they would take him apart piece by piece because of this deal with the mason. But one day, there on the Bifrost once again, Heimdall the White, keeper of the gate, he saw Loki coming across the trembling bridge. And Loki had with him a horse. Not just any horse. This horse had 8 legs. 8 legs. Heimdall said, "Where have you been? What are you doing?" Chap! Shut up, Heimdall. I'm busy. And he just walked right past Heimdall. Not very nice. Rude. Rude! And he went to the gods. He went to the great hall of Gladsheim. And now he was home and the gods gathered. So he went before Odin. He said, "Odin, I am so glad that we did not lose Freya. We did not lose the sun. We did not lose the moon. And I have a gift for you. This beautiful horse, this 8-legged horse, this horse I call Sleipnir. This horse is a gift for you. Why, with those 8 legs, he is the fastest horse in all the 9 worlds. He can ride over water. He can ride through the sky. He can ride anywhere with his 8 legs. Faster than any horse ever seen in all the 9 worlds." Loki said, "This is a gift for you. He shall bear you well, as I bore him for many months." For you see, it was Loki, the shapeshifter. He was not a nut. He was not a bridesmaid. In this case, he was the beautiful gray mare with the silken withers and the strong haunches. He had become that. And he had lured away the horse so that Blast could not finish his job. And by luring that horse away, Loki became pregnant. And Sleipnir was his child. And that is how Odin came to have his iconic horse. Everyone knows, they've seen all the pictures of Odin on his 8-legged steed. It was a gift from Loki, from his womb to Odin. Thank you.